Hey, good afternoon, Bears. It's been a long time, actually, since March 13th, almost 8 weeks ago, since we've been back together at Tahoma High School, the best high school in Washington State. We've gone through a lot, and we're trying to learn a lot of new things, and this has been a lot of stress for our teachers, for our students, for our parents, for our community, and for our nation, for that fact. But we're doing great, and we're hanging in this, and we're all doing it together, and that's really important. I've got some things I want to talk about our new grading policy, which I think will be really important. But first, let me express to our seniors how bad we feel. We know you've gone to school for 13 years and it's come down to this. The last spring and on March 13th, we ended it all. You've lost your sports seasons, the drama, the robotics. We, the people, had to do virtual. We've lost prom. And now we're looking at graduation. And I'm going to finish talking about that at the very end. So let's first take a look at how this new grading policy works. I want to make sure that all of your teachers understand it, which I covered yesterday, that it's being applied fairly to everyone, and everyone has that opportunity to bring their grades up. It's actually quite simple, but I want to make sure we all get it and we get it together. So let's take a look at the policy. We're calling this grade relief policy during the pandemic. And when I think of an iceberg, and we look at the top and everything looks the same to everyone. And we're all out on March 13th. We're all at home. We're all under isolation. But underneath that iceberg, families and kids and students and even teachers are going through some real difficult times. And we have to recognize that together because that's the Tahoma way. So when we look at this iceberg and below, everyone doesn't have the same experience. For some of you, this has been easy. You open up your computer, you go online, you do the work, you turn it in. For others, it's been very difficult. There's families that have one computer to share amongst 4 or 5. There's families that don't have internet. There's families that have to work. There's families that have lost jobs. There's families that have had to put loved ones in the hospital and even death. It's been quite an experience, and we all have to work together on this. So let's learn about the policy. Number one, it's about learning. And grades and school is always about the education. If you're not willing to learn, no one can help you. If you're determined to learn, no one can stop you. Zig Ziglar said that, but no time than now is more important to understand the grades aren't important. The learning and continuing that learning is the most important. So please continue with us on the journey until June 19th, which will be the last day of school until next fall. Don't disengage regardless of the grading system. Let's learn about that grading system. So we know our last day of school was on March 13th. That's the day we got on the PA system and said, get your stuff. We're not going to be back in school for a few weeks. And at that time, we didn't know how long it would be. So we took a time to make up work. And that's that make up work period from the 13th to April 3rd. Teachers gave you your assignments. They let you make up past work. They let you get your term 3 grade to where it should be. So when we think of a semester, it's broken into 2 terms. It's broken into term 3 and term 4. And our term 3 ended after all that makeup work was turned in on April 3rd. Then we went on spring break and we came back and we started the COVID-19 term 4. And that's been problematic, but I think we've done a great job. Students have done well, teachers have figured out a lot of new stuff, and it's actually going very well, and learning continues. And again, that's the Tahoma way, and that's what we really want to focus on. So here's how it breaks down. According to all state laws, students' grade during term 3 as of April 3rd will be their semester 2 grade. So your semester 2 grade is actually from the beginning of the semester until that April 3rd time. So an example would be a student that had a C+ on April 3rd, their second semester grade will also be a C+. A student that had an F on April 3rd will now get an I, because that's some of the new rules is no one gets Fs, you can only get an I, which is an incomplete. We've tried to incentivize that program. We've tried to find a way to give you a better grade and to give you an opportunity to stay connected. And I hope you'll all jump on that opportunity. So you can move up 1 letter grade. So your involvement during this COVID-19 term 4 will determine how you do that. If you do 100% of the work, in other words, there's 9 weekly assignments, and you turn in all 9 and they're satisfactory at a grading, you'll get to move up 1 letter grade. So if you had, for example, a D, your grade would go up to a C. If you had a C, you'd go to a B would go to an A, and we know our A students are superstars and working the best they can, but an A minus could move up to a solid A. We're still going to use the plus minus system. We also have our students that had that F that I talked about that gets transferred or moved to an incomplete. We don't want anybody to finish with an incomplete, even though you'll have opportunities to make that up. So our students that are most disadvantaged, those that were failing, have even a better opportunity to move from an I, an incomplete, to a passing grade of a D. So if you finish 6 of your 9 assignments through this COVID-19 term 4, your grade will then go up from an F or an I to a passing grade, so you'll get credit and won't have to repeat that course. If you just don't have an opportunity, if there's just too much going on and you can't reconnect with that teacher, please reach out to them, work with them, and do everything you can to get through. If it doesn't work, we'll find a way when we return back to school, and we'll express those opportunities to you as we get closer to that. So that, in a nutshell, is it. Your term 3 or that quarter 3 grade will be your semester grade, and then you can move it up, which I hope we'll all take advantage of. Now let's talk a little about graduation. I know our seniors are really worried about graduation. It doesn't look realistic that that's going to happen in this traditional way at White River Amphitheater unless we're able to delay it to a later time. We're looking at alternative ways, and all seniors should have gotten a survey of some of the ideas our committee has been looking at, ways to celebrate your 13 years in high school. So more to come on that. We're going to do something. We're going to find a way to celebrate everybody at our graduation. I hope the rest of our student body will join in celebrating with our seniors regardless of the opportunity that we have. So I'm going to conclude. If you have questions, I've sent out an email today that explains how the grading policy works. If you have a question as a senior, give us a little bit of time to work through your survey, and let's firm up something that's really going to work for you. And it's going to be different, but we're going to make it great like we always do at Tahoma. With that, I want to say goodbye. I want to say thank you for reaching out to me and working with your teacher so well. Learning doesn't stop at term 3. Learning continues through term 4. So let's stay connected. Let's keep going until the end. With that, let's give it a big go Bears. Thanks.